Take a slow breath, and before you decide whether any of this makes sense, ask yourself something simple. Have you felt different lately? Not in a dramatic way, not in a way you could easily explain to someone else, but different. A strange fatigue that sleep does not fix, moments when time feels distorted, hours collapsing into minutes, or minutes stretching endlessly, people quietly disappearing from your life without conflict, old desires dissolving, heavy foods suddenly feeling intolerable, crowded places overwhelming your nervous system. What if these are not problems? What if they are transitions? There are researchers who have spent decades exploring altered states of consciousness, one of them being Dolores Cannon. Through thousands of deep hypnosis sessions, she came to a radical conclusion. Humanity is not waiting for a dimensional shift. It is already inside one. But here is where we must slow down. When we speak of dimensions, most imagine distant realms, cosmic doors, or supernatural events. But what if a dimension is not a place you travel to? What if it is a frequency you tune into? Think of reality like a radio field. Multiple stations are broadcasting at the same time. You only hear the one your dial is set to. The third dimension, what many call 3D, is dense, linear, survival-based. Time feels rigid. Scarcity feels normal. Identity feels fixed. In this frequency, life is about effort, competition, control. But the fifth dimension, often called 5D, operates differently. Time becomes fluid. Synchronicity increases. Reality responds more quickly to thought and emotion. Separation softens into interconnectedness. And here is the unsettling possibility. You may already be moving between these states, not permanently, not dramatically, but intermittently. When you experience an unexplained moment of deep peace, when love arises without cause, when intuition speaks clearly and proves accurate, when coincidence feels too precise to be random, in those moments, you are not imagining something. You are shifting frequency. Modern neuroscience has already shown that perception is not passive. The brain filters overwhelming sensory data to maintain a coherent model of reality. We do not see the world as it is. We see what our nervous system is prepared to process. Quantum physics adds another layer. Experiments consistently demonstrate that the observer influences the observed outcome. At the subatomic level, reality behaves differently depending on measurement. Interpretations vary, but the implication is clear. Consciousness matters. Now imagine this applied to your lived experience. If your emotional baseline changes, if your inner narrative shifts, if your nervous system moves from survival to coherence, would your perceived reality remain the same? Or would you begin to inhabit a different version of the world without physically relocating? This is what many describe as the new Earth, not a new planet, a new vibrational configuration of awareness, and transitions are rarely comfortable. When you change frequency, what no longer resonates begins to fall away. Conversations feel shallow, television feels noisy, news cycles feel unbearable, old friendships fade without drama. It is not rejection, it is misalignment, like oil and water separating within the same container. Some describe this as a planetary split, but the split is not geographical, it is perceptual. Two realities coexisting in the same physical space, one rooted in fear and control, the other in coherence and presence, and each person tunes according to vibration. But here is the part few speak about. Transition feels like collapse before it feels like clarity. The structures that defined your identity may weaken, careers lose meaning, certainties dissolve, even your own thoughts may feel foreign. This can resemble anxiety, or grief, or confusion. Yet from a neurobiological perspective, identity destabilization often precedes expansion. The brain reorganizes through neuroplasticity when patterns are interrupted. Old circuits weaken, new pathways form. From a spiritual perspective, the ego resists dissolution because it equates control with safety, and so the shift feels chaotic. But chaos is not destruction, it is reorganization. When a radio switches stations, there is static between frequencies. you may be living in that static. Now let us clarify something important. Fifth dimensional awareness is not escapism. It does not mean abandoning responsibility. It does not mean ignoring pain. It does not mean floating above life. In fact, it demands deeper embodiment. To anchor a new frequency, you must inhabit your body more fully, not less. Presence becomes the discipline, not rigid discipline, but vibrational discipline. The choice to respond instead of react, to breathe before speaking, to observe thoughts without merging with them. Studies in neuroplasticity show that repeated internal states reshape neural architecture. What you consistently think and feel becomes your baseline pattern. If you rehearse fear daily, fear becomes structural. If you rehearse gratitude, coherence strengthens. Heart rate variability research reveals that gratitude and appreciation create measurable physiological harmony, improving autonomic regulation. This is not fantasy. It is physiology. When you wake up in the morning, the first emotion you entertain begins calibrating your nervous system. Hand over heart, one conscious breath, a deliberate moment of awareness, small ritual, massive implication. Water becomes more than hydration. It becomes intentional alignment. Food becomes more than fuel. It becomes informational exchange. Gratitude becomes more than politeness. It becomes frequency stabilization. But perhaps the most difficult practice is this: do not resist what falls away. When relationships dissolve, when opportunities close, when old comforts feel heavy, it may not be punishment, it may be recalibration. The 5D frequency does not support the version of you built on fear. And yes, this hurts, because identity sheds like skin. There will be moments when you feel suspended, uncertain, alone. But here's the paradox. The new frequency does not reveal the full path in advance. It responds to trust, not blind faith, but embodied trust. You step, and then the ground appears. Gradually, something shifts. Chaos loses its emotional charge. Time feels less oppressive. Synchronicities increase. Intuition strengthens. You stop fighting life. You begin dancing with it. And you realize something subtle yet profound. The new earth is not arriving. It is being generated through you, through your nervous system, through your perception, through your choices. You are not waiting for a sign. You are the sign. Now ask yourself, honestly, are you still expecting a dramatic cosmic event? Or are you willing to accept that the transformation is quiet, cellular, internal? That fatigue may be recalibration. That solitude may be alignment. That loss may be liberation. The old world does not collapse loudly. It dissolves quietly inside those who no longer resonate with it. And here is the most grounding truth of all. Whether you interpret this as metaphysics, psychology, or quantum consciousness theory, the mechanism is identical. Change your internal frequency. Your lived reality reorganizes, not magically, systemically. The observer shifts. The observed shifts. And if you have felt displaced recently, untethered, between versions of yourself, perhaps you are not lost. Perhaps you are transitioning. If something in this resonated, not intellectually, but somatically, share what you felt in the comments. Was it relief, resistance, recognition? Like this video so others navigating this shift can find language for their experience. Subscribe if you want to continue exploring the intersection between consciousness, neuroscience, and dimensional awareness. And before you leave, choose one of the two videos appearing now. One explores how to stabilize expanded states without dissociation. The other examines the neuroscience behind perception and reality construction. Choose intentionally, because once you understand that reality is not fixed, but filtered, you stop waiting for the world to change, and you begin inhabiting the frequency that already has.